the next thing that we wanted to do was find a way to also provide some innovation. One of the things that we're all looking for is CATS, cheap access to space. One of the things that none of the other teams, with one exception, had been working on was a launch, the way to provide a cheaper way of getting from the Earth into Earth orbit, or from the Earth headed out into deep space. So we looked around, we found one group, Interorbital Systems, that had a method that they wanted to use that was 25 years old, but didn't have funding to be able to pursue it. The slide that you're seeing here represents the vehicle that they had designed, the Neptune 1000. The vehicle is based on a method that was popular when the Apollo program started. One thing that I think von Braun's first booster for Apollo, the Saturn I, one of its nicknames was Cluster's Last Stand. It was composed of a cluster of rockets, not solid fuel rockets, but liquid fuel rockets, clustered together. I think there were 8 rockets in that original cluster. Some of his contemporaries, after the Apollo mission began, put together other plans to build what were called common rocket propulsion modules, or rather common rocket propulsion units. They wanted to leave out the word module because that M at the end could be changed into missile, and they were suffering under something that we still suffer under today, the shadow of dual-use technology. The reason that they were not able ever to really bring that technology forward was because of dual-use technology. The company that was originally doing it was a German company, and nobody wanted to see Germany at that time with intercontinental missile capabilities. The Europeans didn't want it, the Russians didn't want it, the US didn't want it. So they moved. Von Braun was a part of the company, but they didn't know where to go. They moved to a couple of third world countries to do their experimenting, to build their rockets, and they were successful at doing that for a few years, but again, there was a problem of what's going to happen if these countries get this dual-use technology, this missile technology. And in fact, that's what happened to them. They were in Libya, the last place that they were testing, and the government nationalized their company, their organization, and kind of kicked them out. So that was kind of the end of their story. And that was after 12 years of development, thousands of rocket firings that had actually proved out their rocket propulsion modules, and maybe 16 test flights. So the people involved in that, or the one man actually that was involved in that, is still around today in his 70s and still pushing the technology and working within Interorbital Systems. So that's the innovation that we wanted to bring forward. If you'll go ahead to the next slide, it kind of shows what they were envisioning back in the 70s when they first started putting this together. And the slide right after this shows the how their system worked, basically ejecting parallel stages instead of stacked stages of common propulsion modules. So they did this. They actually put some of these together. They actually launched some of these, and they worked very well. There wasn't a problem with them. The only problem at the time was not technological, it was political. They couldn't do it at the time given the political climate, but it is something that we can do now, that we can do if we do it fully in the US and don't involve any other countries. So that's what we're doing, and that's our innovation. The one thing that we want to do as an innovation, we don't need any technological any new technology. We have the technology to do this. In fact, since they originally did this, there have been lots of improvements in rocket engines, lots of improvements in fuel formulas. So that's what we're concentrating on. Some of our partners are also building the rover for us. We have 2 rovers that we want to do. One partner is University of Maratua in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, like Bosnia, is coming out of a period of civil war. The people there and the students there that we've been working with were really interested in getting involved in space development, but their government wasn't interested in it, and they could really see no way to do it until the X Prize came up. They were one of the first groups that contacted me through our online forum to get involved, and they've been one of the first groups working with us to put together and complete hardware. So they've put together the prototype for our rover. The other group I already mentioned is Bosnia and the Human Synergy Project. The Balkan states have been our biggest supporters. Right now, next month we're doing a rally for the Google Lunar X Prize in the Valley of the Pyramids in Visoko, Bosnia. Some of you may not know that there are actually pyramids in Europe. In Bosnia, discovered a few years ago. It's interesting that right after we decided to do this, the National Geographic Channel reran their special on those pyramids just last week. So we have a lot of supporters there, mainly because, as Nicole was saying earlier, it's not something that they've ever been into in that part of the world, and they're really interested in doing it. There are a lot of young people that are interested in doing it. We're getting a lot of press there. We're in the newspapers over there every day, every week, and we're on television over there often. So they're very interested in the prize. They're very interested in the team because there are people from that part of the world on the team. And the support, financial support that we're getting right now is coming mostly from that area, and that's in promotional sponsorships. So we're looking forward to see where that takes us, and hopefully we're going to be able to get enough financial support that way to build the rockets that we need, mount the rovers, and get to the moon.
Thank you, Kevin.